Hi, and welcome to the Bookkeepers Podcast. I'm Zoe Whitman. I'm here with Jo Wood. Hey, Jo, how are you doing?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
I'm really good. I'm really excited about today. We have been running a session, every night this week so far, talking about repricing, raising your prices and building an extra 10% or more into your business. And I think that the session that we ran, our day 2 session, was amazing. In fact, I feel like, Jo, we're going to probably run this again because it's been so helpful to everyone who's come along.
It's been really helpful. And I think sometimes what I love about these sessions, especially when we get a group, a hive mind, a load of people together and we work together, there's just some it just makes me feel really good. It makes me really happy when we do work together. And sometimes on the outside looking in, the things that we're doing is quite simple. It's not like massively complicated, but it's really impactful when you look at what we've all done, especially because there's loads of you doing it together. I just think, it's great. Yeah. Love doing what we do.
Me too. Well, look, we thought we'd jump in today and talk to you about repricing because a lot has come out of this week already, and we know that everyone needs to be thinking about repricing all the time. Now, I know that you've gone through this in your practice. Jo sold her practice last year, but repricing quarterly was built into the way that you were working with your clients. And we think it's really important for bookkeepers to reprice regularly, but it doesn't always feel so easy. Some of the things we've been talking about this week are the factors from outside of your business, aren't they? You know, the environment that we are operating in, that we're working in right now, is bringing challenges. There are loads of outside pressures on prices. And if you look at your P&L today, you will see that compared to last year, lots of things have risen and there's nothing you can do about that.
No. And I think there's something in us as bookkeepers where we just kind of accept, prices have gone up, I've got to pay for that. And maybe we try and look for alternatives and we try and bring the prices down. And we spend so much time, and I always say this, a lot of the time, we think about how it's something I heard once, that women in business look about how they can save money rather than how can we make more money. There's that, when they have headlines, it's like, women, this is how you budget for Christmas, and men, this is how you make money on your investments. So, and we sometimes approach this in our own bookkeeping businesses. We think, okay, money's like the suppliers' prices are going up. What am I going to do? Am I just going to swallow it, or am I going to try and cut costs elsewhere? We don't often think, how am I going to make more money?
Yeah, because the impact is, right, you know, if your software providers have put their prices up and the costs of doing business, your insurance costs have gone up, your travel costs have gone up, all that, and you haven't then changed your revenue line, what's happened is your profit's been squeezed. So, and if you're listening, I'm sort of like trying to show the gap with my hands to show like that bit in the middle, revenue minus costs, that's your profit. That's changed. And also the impact of that is the profit in your business is then the money, or some of the money, that you're going to be taking home into your household. And in your household, also prices have gone up. Your energy costs have gone up. Food in the supermarkets has gone up. So what you're then seeing is that your sort of spending power is reduced in your family as well. So it's like you're getting hit twice. So if you're not putting your prices up, you're only hurting yourself and your clients.
I don't know if you've noticed, we're in November, we're approaching Christmas, and there's definitely this feel this year that we're going to have to be really sensible. The money that we usually put by for each child and think about what we're spending, I feel the pressure of it feels really squeezed this year, because I'm like, wow, usually I feel like it's a lot of money, and that this year it feels a lot less. I don't know if you felt the same.
Yeah, in terms of like what things cost and what your
you get for your money
power is.
Yeah, and thinking about how, we've made the decision this year. Like last year, I remember how much we spent on Christmas. I have a massive family, and I like to go to the butchers and buy the meat and everything. But this year, we've actually realised it's cheaper for us to eat out. And because I was looking at all the little bits on top, and I was like, this is going to cost a fortune. And we all, as a joint family decision, we thought, we'd change it up. But usually I'd have never thought of that, because I'd have thought that was so expensive to go out.
Yeah.
And it's just, I think we got to realise that what we're earning as in our businesses it's not just being squeezed there, it's been squeezed there and then doubly squeezed.
Yeah, exactly. So lots of reasons to be reviewing your pricing right now, but also because these changes happen, like, we were just talking about software prices changing.
Yeah.
You don't have any control over that. You're going to, from time to time, get an email, this price is going up, or something comes up for renewal and it costs more. That happens frequently over the course of the year. And sometimes we'll speak to people who say, well, I haven't put my prices up since 2018 or something. And we're like, okay, well, you definitely need to. But then even for the business owner who hasn't put their prices up since the start of the year, various things have changed during the year. So we actually, best practice here is to be revisiting pricing every quarter. And we'd love everyone to be doing that. But we have fears about it. We're worried. We're worried that our clients are going to have objections. They won't want to pay more. And how did you feel, Jo? Like going and repricing your clients quarterly, how did you feel about it?
So the initial thing when anyone starts thinking about repricing clients is, I don't know if it's me, but it's natural to catastrophize. And so I think, right, well, that means all of my clients are going to leave me. I'm going to lose my house. I won't be able to feed my children. Like that's initially that it's like the fight or flight starts when you think about the conversations you're going to have and you think they're all going to hate me and they're going to leave. And what am I going to do? And this is why we're here today to go, hold on, repricing your clients does not mean this. It does not mean that we're going to go in guns blazing and do it all. Should we? Well, yeah, potentially. And because your prices have increased and you are being squeezed, should we reprice every single client today? Most probably. But do we have to? No, there is a way of doing it in a way that can keep you, sleeping at night. And like slowly but surely build confidence and do it over time and know that you are moving forward and improving your situation rather than doing it all at once, because that is a really scary thought.
Yeah. And we cover a lot of this in the Bookkeepers Collective. When you work with us, we cover this in our pricing collection. There's a whole collection all around pricing, different on-demand training, and you get to come along to a call once a month where we have a pricing Q&A, and there are bookkeepers and accountants on that call who get it. They get you, and they're happy to talk through the proposal with you. And
we've seen people on their journeys starting off, maybe they were charging an hourly rate and then they've moved to like monthly pricing, and then we're with them all the time when they're building the confidence to have those conversations, potentially with existing clients, but also people that are brand new to this and having these conversations from day one, which is how much easier is it to start off your business? I mean, there's many times I thought if I started all over again, I would do it this way. But we're here to show you that, yes, you can start off a brand new bookkeeping business pricing in the right way, taking all of these things into consideration. Or if you've got a large client base already, there's a way of doing this piecemeal.
And when you had, like, let's say you went to, you had a conversation with a client about raising their prices. Like, you're not going to just spring that on them. You're going to prepare them for it. You're going to send them an email ahead and say, we're going to discuss this in our session. And then you present the new proposal and the client's like, oh my God, like, I can never afford to pay. I can't believe it. I can't believe you would do this to me. First of all, did that happen? But also, how do you handle those kind of conversations?
Yeah. So firstly, I think when we think about repricing, and I have been on a pricing journey. So when I was charging an hourly rate, the thought of changing an hourly rate felt like, oh my goodness, I know I need to, but they're going to not understand what I'm doing and the value. When I started charging everybody on a monthly fee, being able to have the conversation was a lot easier because it wasn't about an hour for hour, an hour exchange. So it wasn't, because if you're charging the increasing an hourly rate, they're going to be thinking, but you're still sitting on that seat doing that work for the same amount of hour. You just think you're worth more. Whereas when I was charging a monthly fee and able to say, our prices have gone up, my employee fees have gone up, software fees have gone up, and actually this is your business has been doing this and that, and the transactions have increased, and it was so much easier. And I can honestly say that the times I had difficult conversations around pricing was when I knew I wasn't giving a great service. When I knew I was giving my best service and I had the right structure, systems, processes, my team were happy and the clients were happy, they weren't that difficult conversations. And I never once had anyone say, I can't believe this, because actually they could, because they felt the value that I was getting. So I would first think about, okay, if you're feeling that you should be increasing, but you feel like there's something not right, what are you not happy? What are you not delivering in your service that's out of alignment with your values? I knew that if someone hadn't had the right amount of time or the work wasn't up to scratch, I didn't feel like I could up their prices. So it does come back to that, like, what kind of business are you running? And are you happy with the service that you're giving, first of all?
I love what you said about, like, if you're just increasing your hourly rate. Like, we were speaking to somebody recently and she told us that most of her clients were paying £18 an hour. And we know that that is way below the market rate for bookkeeping. We don't like you to charge by the hour anyway. But 100%, all of those clients need to be repriced in some way. And actually, they need to go from an hourly rate to a fixed price. But if you were to increase the hourly rate, your client straight away, if you say, right, I'm charging you this per hour and now I'm going to charge you this per hour. And like you said, Joe, it's because you've decided you are worth more. That's how the client's going to see it. But the client's also going to see you as an employee. The client's also going to see you as a direct comparison for another member of their team who is paid an hourly rate. So the dynamic is very different to if you go in and you say, right, let's be solutions focused here. As a business, you need something to happen, and I can do that for you. Doesn't matter how many hours I'm sat on the seat doing the work. It's about understanding, like, where are you heading? Because the client, in a situation like right now where the environment is like challenging for lots of businesses, things are costing a lot more, there are supply chain issues, the environment they're operating in has created a new set of challenges that they haven't seen before. So your job is to think, and also, you know, there's so much here in terms of AI and automation that's changing the way that we deliver bookkeeping anyway. Your opportunity is to say, look, things have changed. The way we do bookkeeping isn't the same anymore. And I know that you need more support here. And I want to give you that support, and start to talk to them about, like, what's your strategy here? And look for the opportunities, because you'll see their business in a way that they don't. First of all, because you're removed from their business and you don't have the same emotional attachment to it as they do. But also because you're going to look at their business from a financial, analytical point of view. And rather than, sometimes I think, like, if we're looking at someone's accounts, we might say, oh, you've spent way more on this. Why is that happening? I think actually, if we can go beyond that and say, I've noticed that this percentage related to this percentage is, I don't know, different in some way. How can I support you in, I don't know, reducing waste in your process, your manufacturing process, or reducing the time that this is taking, because I know that you don't need to have a person doing this anymore, because I know that technology means you can do this in a different way. Those are the insights where you're selling a solution and you're more valuable. And you can't price that by the hour, because that's a level of knowledge that it isn't an hourly rate deliverable.
It's not an employee relationship when you're coming to the table and saying, when you ask questions back, employees don't tend to ask questions back to their direct line manager. And the other conversation that we had this week with somebody, sorry, I'm losing my voice, with somebody who was saying that if I charge that much, they would think that there's an employee could come in. And I was like, well, yes, the cost, if you look at that, but you've got to think about the costs of having an employee, the national insurance, the holiday pay, the sick pay, the pension, the fact that that employee has all of that knowledge about your business, that one person, whereas this person was running a team. And I said, you've got a payroll expert in your team, and you outsource the management accounts, and they've got you, and then, and you've got a bookkeeper. So they've got 4 people always managing and keeping this business going for the same price of one person over here that's going to cost them more. And that's we don't ever talk about that risk. You know, you might be a solopreneur running your bookkeeping business, but if you're in our community, you're not on your own. You've got other experts around you. So how valuable is that compared to having an employee that only knows what they know?
Yes,
So
you think
we
about
need
it
to remember the value.
Yeah, so if you think about it from the employer's point of view, and they're like, right, I've got this budget for my finance team, whatever that looks like, and they're thinking, right, I need to bring someone in who's a bookkeeper. Actually, we hear people who are looking at like jobs board, bookkeepers who are self-employed, who work in our community, and will be looking at jobs boards, and they'll see a job advertised and they're like, well, they don't need to take it on an employee because they could use that budget and I could come in and do that work, and I definitely wouldn't need to work those employee hours. Which like, to say that, like, you might be thinking, what, like, how can you do the work in a different way? So if, let's say, the job is being advertised for, I don't know, 15 hours a week or something on a particular hourly rate, you might be able to work out, like, how can I deliver that service in the same way? Now, the person that they would be able to hire at that rate for those hours, who is in that location, who they happen to be able to find, who can go into the office and do the thing, probably can't do all of the things that you can do, because somebody else sort of said when we were having this conversation, well, but I wouldn't be working as many hours, so I wouldn't be able to charge as much. But it's not about the hours. It's about the expertise, the connections you've got. And if you probably could find someone who could run the payroll if you don't run the payroll, or someone who can do the year-end compliance if you don't do the year-end compliance. Whereas that person who's in the team, can you hear my cats? They're having
a fight. First ever cat fight on the podcast.
I know, first one. The person in the team that they're hiring for that hourly rate for that many hours a week probably doesn't have that whole skill set and doesn't have that community to fall back on. So you are a very different proposition.
Yes. I love that. Absolutely. So I think we've done a really good job, Zoe, of setting the scene of why the prices need to be raised, why you are the expert, and why you deserve to be paid handsomely for the value and expertise you are bringing to these business owners. So how do you go about repricing your clients if you have a client base that needs repricing? Well, the first thing you need to do is list your clients out and put down what their average monthly fee is that you're currently getting. And then the next thing we say is, next to that is, out of 1 to 5, between 1 and 5, 1 being you don't really get on with them, or you think they're a pitter client, look up pitter, or 5, they are lovely, you love working with them, when the phone rings you're excited to speak to them, a great client. List out your clients, how much they pay you on an average fee. If you're being charged, if you're charging an hourly rate, look over the last 3 to 6 months and figure out what, if they were paying you monthly, what that would be. And then figure out how happy you are with the people at the moment. Because what we realize is that the clients, maybe there's 3 clients that you're not really happy with. They are the ones that mostly the pricing is out the most. And you have to ask yourself the question, if my fee doubled or tripled, would I still be happy working with them? And sometimes we find that our bookkeepers are really busy, so they can't maybe find new clients because they're so busy. But actually, if they were to remove and disengage, or, when you realize that actually it doesn't matter how much these people paid me, I wouldn't, it's not a good fit, for whatever reason, that you could open up some space, and maybe you make a decision that I'm going to market and find a client, and then I will disengage from them. You don't ever have to, get rid of income, but it's good to know where we get to design this business. And sometimes we find that we work with people that aren't in alignment with us, and we get to disengage if it's not right, or we get to up the price to make it to fit to a point where, this feels good. And then they can say yes, or they can say no. And then you can move forward. And we want you to be happy. We want you to have all the clients 5 out of 5s. That'd be amazing. In the real world, you might not, but we were talking last night about the average happiness score, and somebody had 2.6 or something. We're like, there is room, you can be happier in the business that you're running. We know that to be true.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. And I'd love to see you go and do this, like map out, like look at those clients, list them out, have a think, like how can you add 10% to your revenue right now? If you're interested in joining us for our next Revenue Boost event, we'd love to see you there. We would just ask you to sign up by going to revenueboost.scoreapp.com. We're hoping to run another one of these events really soon if you don't catch the one that is finishing this week. But other than that, check in and find out more about what we do in the Bookkeepers Collective. Head to sixfigurebookkeeper.com, and we'll see you next week for another episode of the Bookkeepers Podcast. Take care. Bye.